Hello everyone, I'm back at home now, so hopefully the internet is better than what it was earlier. So this is day 3 of Maisies Music Fest, and we have got another live this evening for you. And I'm really excited about tonight's live because this fabulous lady has been at every single one of Maisie Darling's events since we opened. So we couldn't possibly do this event without her being with us again. So please let me introduce the fabulous Lizzy Rushby. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, thanks for having me. Real pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you here, but I'm so disappointed you're not in one of the wedding dresses.
I know. I thought to try and wear a bit of white just to try and get that feeling. But yes, those glamorous dresses always a pleasure. Would wear one every week.
For those of you watching that haven't been to one of our events, every time Lizzy comes to the boutique and sings, she wears one of our dresses, which is fabulous. So yeah, we're missing that tonight, but the white is working perfectly. Oh, so Lizzy, for those of our viewers that don't know you, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you sit within the wedding industry?
Okay, well, I'm a vintage singer. So I started off in the kind of the 40s, and I've gradually expanded into other decades. So I cover the 40s, 50s, 60s. I even sort of do a little bit of mod material now. But I started in the 40s, and I tend to get booked, not necessarily to headline in the evening, but I often get booked for the kind of a champagne reception when the photos are being taken and things like that. I think because the music that I sing, a lot of the kind of the 40s or the swing music or the kind of vintage jazz, it's got a broad appeal. It's very family friendly. And it never ceases to amaze me how many generations know the songs right from. So if you sing some of the songs, you'll have kids singing along, people in the 20s singing along, because a lot of the music still gets used on soundtracks, and then obviously older people really are very grateful to not have party songs, to have something a bit more chilled, while photos are being taken. So I sort of feel that's where I mainly fit. I'm also part of a band, so that has been, we have done we've done a wedding in the evening. But yeah, I love the kind of the champagne reception, just serenading people as they're soaking up the atmosphere, really.
Yeah, and so why vintage? What made you go down that genre?
I'm very lucky because it's a big genuine family connection. So there's a lot of wartime history on my mother's side. It's almost like storybook kind of history. My nan worked in a munitions factory. My grandfather was he was in the D-Day evacuation, and then went back and was part of the D-Day landings and part of the Normandy campaign. And so there's a lot of family history there. And he was asked to join ENSA, which was the corps that entered the troops. So he turned it down because he was a sergeant and he wouldn't leave his young, he wouldn't leave his young boys, what he called boys, because he was in the army before the war broke out. So he was there right at the beginning. And so there was always that family history hanging over me. And I always sort of thought, sometimes people ask you that question, if you could be born at any other time in history, when would you be born? And I sort of thought, I'd have loved to have been a wartime entertainer.
Yeah.
And so the weird thing was, and I dug it out, I've got it here. So when I was at school, while my friends were listening to boy bands, I had this cassette tape, which I've still got, called The Golden Age of Female Voice. So while they were listening to New Kids on the Block, I was listening to Gracie Fields and loving every minute of it. So, I'm very pleased to have always been a little bit different, to always been into vintage, and to be able to tap in, kind of following the footsteps of my grandfather. So he turned down singing for the troops but I get to sing those wonderful, wonderful songs.
Yeah, that's such a lovely story, and it makes it feel all personal, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it's very personal. I mean, usually I'm wearing my nan's watch when I perform. So most performances, it fits with most of my outfits because it's like a thin silver band. It's just a piece of costume jewellery, you know. But yeah, that it really comes from the heart for me.
Yeah. And so in terms of your vintage sets, is there a repertoire that you do, or are couples able to request certain songs that they like or have any family connection to? How does that work?
Definitely. I mean, a lot of it, because I sing, when I sing solo, I sing to backing tracks. So people can make requests. I think, like a lot of singers, you know, I ask for plenty of notice so I can prepare the song and sing it well. So, you know, you would be doing a disservice if you tried to put together something last minute. So people, I mean, people are planning weddings far ahead. So as long as there's notice, but it's also a little bit dependent on whether the backing music is available, because that can be a sticking point when you're a singer that does use backing tracks. If it's part of, so I'm part of an acoustic duo. I've got fingers in various different pies. I'm part of an acoustic duo, so that is with bass guitar or 6-string guitar or bass guitar and ukulele. So that's got a bit more freedom for any, you know, even the more unusual songs that you wouldn't perhaps get a backing track to. So yeah, it's, you know, it's lovely to sing songs that are requested. Sometimes I'll send my repertoire list to people if they request that, and they can just kind of have a bit of an, you know, set design is a funny thing, but you know, they can see if there's particular ones that are meaningful to them that they want to that they want to pick out.
And is it possible, if somebody so wishes, for you to sing during the ceremony? Is that possible for you to do?
Yeah, I've done that as long as I can plug my equipment in somewhere. So as long as there's a PowerPoint, I've sung people down the aisle and stuff, which is, you know, it's a real privilege, and it does, you know, sometimes it does make the sweat break out on your back because you really want to get it right. And the first time I did it, they requested "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You" by Elvis, and so waiting from the nod from one staff member, and it was just so serendipitous, really. Just as she got to the final step, the track ended. So it was just perfectly timed. Yeah, so it's nice to be part of that moment.
Yeah. So you've mentioned the band that you're also in as well. Are they the same genre? Are they a different genre? How does that work?
It's so as a solo vintage singer, I tend to do 40s, 50s, creep into the 60s. With the acoustic duo, we do a lot of vintage songs, but we also kind of rework modern songs. And then the full band is actually a Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute.
Wow.
But we can put in, you know, some other songs as well. So it's all in the vintage thread, because even though Johnny Cash and June Carter is more kind of country music, it's kind of vintage country music. So you know, just living the vintage dream, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you sing, do you have any other projects that you work on, or anything else that you do when you're not doing weddings and being vintage?
Yeah, I mean, you know, singing, I play bass guitar in the acoustic duo, but singing is my kind of, you know, my main instrument, really. And I love voice, so I do coach voices when I'm not performing. So I mainly coach other singers. I have a really wide client base, so I have people who are working towards performance or auditions, but I also have Sing for Fun pupils. And I run a gospel choir as well.
Wow.
And the gospel, we now have a subsection of the gospel choir, which is an events choir. So we have a gospel choir that anyone can join, but then we have a subsection that it's not audition, but it's selected people who are usually experienced singers or they've got some background in performance. And so that choir's been booked before a wedding. We've had the select choir sing there.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, lots of things to keep me busy. I suppose because I coach voices, I coach mainly singing, but I'm looking to move into coaching for public speaking as well. So I might end up one day singing at a wedding, and perhaps have coached one of the speeches in the wedding. Might be something that eventually happens, which would be quite interesting.
Yeah. You're so talented.
I just eclectic, I think. Just like to keep myself out of trouble.
So just before you sing, what one piece of advice would you give to couples who are beginning to think about deciding on music and when and where the music should be at the wedding?
I think really it's going with your gut instinct, because I think you can overthink things, and I think people, when they start planning a wedding, they have a whole load of gut instincts, and then because people care about them, people come along and they ask them lots of questions and they start kind of reconsidering their thoughts, but actually usually their gut instinct is best, even if it's perhaps not what would typically happen or typically where the music would be. You get a whole load of ideas, listen to other people's points of view, but ultimately just to go with your gut and the songs you want and where you want them.
I think that's really important. Sorry. In all aspects.
Oh no, I had finished. I was just mumbling.
In all aspects of the wedding, it's got to be about you two as people, hasn't it? And the decisions that you want and the personal touches that represent you as individuals and as couples.
Definitely, and that's just something that you do. You do have a gut instinct on. You do know what you want, and then you start thinking, oh, maybe I should try and please this person and that person and the other person. And can't do that. The people who really care about you will support you in it.
Yeah, definitely. There's just been a comment, I think it was when you were talking about why vintage, and Emma's put that story made me smile, and it is so lovely that it's so personal. So let's hear Lizzy do what she does best and transition us back into the 1940s.
Oh gosh, right, I'll have a sip of it's water, not gin.
So everyone, this is Lizzy.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I'm going to sing 4 songs tonight, and I'm just going to do them live. I'm going to pop my speaker on in a moment. So I thought I'd start off with a bit of the Andrews Sisters, a very popular one from the Andrews Sisters. Ooh. Try that again. Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, no, no. Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me till I go marching home. Don't go walking down Lover's Lane with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, no, no. Don't go walking down Lover's Lane with anyone else but me till I go marching home. Just got word from a girl who heard from a girl next door to me. The guy she met just loves to bed and she pictured it to a T. So don't go walking down Lover's Lane with anyone else but me till I go marching home. So don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, 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 don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me. Till I go marching home, 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 sweet home. Don't you go walking down Lover's Lane with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, 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 don't you go walking down Lover's Lane with anyone else but me. Till I go marching home, 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 sweet home. And then if I was on a big stage, I might have a march around, do a sneaky Charleston. So don't you go walking down Lover's Lane with anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. My dear, we'll sit down under that apple tree, baby, just you and me, when I go marching home. That's a bit of the Andrews Sisters there, always popular. I'm going to do a song that was on my golden age of female voice tape that I used to play when I was a teenager. So this is a wartime song, but also just a wonderful, wonderful love song. That was the night we met. There was magic abroad in the air. There were angels dining at the Ritz, and the nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm perfectly willing to swear that when you turned and smiled at me, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. The moon that lingered over London town, oh, puzzled blue, he wore a frown. How could he know we two were so in love? The whole darn world seemed upside down. The streets of town were paved with stars. It was such a romantic affair. And as we kissed and said goodnight, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. The moon that lingered over London town, poor puzzled moon, he wore a frown. How could he know we two were so in love? The whole darn world seemed upside down. The streets of town were paved with stars. It was such a romantic affair. And as we kissed and said goodnight, a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. Oh, I don't like that. Fabulous. So I do very family-friendly songs, and this one tends to get a lot of people singing along. Bit of chorus. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Is what she said to me. They said, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Kay said, what will be, will be. When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Is what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will they be? Will they be pretty? Will they be rich? I tell them tenderly, que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Right, I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. Just before I do my last one, so I'm going to do probably what is one of Marilyn Monroe's most famous ones. A kiss on the hand may be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. A kiss may be grand, but it won't pay the rental on your humble flat, or help you at the automat. Men grow cold as girls grow old, and we all lose our charms in the end. But swear, cut all their shape, these rocks don't lose their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Or maybe a bit of... There may be a time when a lass needs a lawyer, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. There may be a time when a hard-boiled employer thinks you're awful nice. Forget that ice or else no dice. He's your guy when stocks are high, but beware when they start to descend. It's then that those louses go back to their spouses. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. I've heard of affairs that are strictly platonic, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. But I think affairs that you must keep Masonic are better bets, 'cause little bets get big baguettes. Time rolls on and youth is gone, and you can't straighten up when you're bent. But stiff back or stiff knees, you'll stand straight at Tiffany. Diamonds, diamonds, and I don't mean rhinestones, 'cause diamonds are a girl's best friend. Her best friend. Thank you.
Oh, yay! Well done, Lizzy. That was amazing. I've been dancing, playing.
Oh, you know, that was really fun to do, actually.
Oh, good. While you were singing, we had lots of lovely comments, so I'll just read you some of them. So James said, I was one of the singers at a wedding with Lizzy, and it was a lovely experience. I'm also part of both of her choirs and love it. So that sounds fabulous.
Oh.
Jacqueline said, brilliant. Olivia said, lovely Lizzy. Emma, who commented earlier, was singing along with you.
Oh, and fabulous.
And then James said, sounding fab, Lizzy, with a bit of an Edith reverberation.
Bit of Edith Piaf, yes, absolutely.
So thank you so much. That has been absolutely thoroughly enjoyable. I've had an amazing time. And just before you go, please could you tell everybody how they get hold of you or ask more questions? Are you on social media?
Absolutely. I'm really terrible with my own marketing. I suppose really because I just love the song, so I kind of forget to market myself. But I am on Facebook, so you can find me as Lizzy Rushby on Facebook. So I've got a business page and a personal page, and I respond to either. I also, my coaching is through Voice Lady Leicester, or if you just search Voice Lady Lizzy Rushby. And I do have a website, lizzyrushby.co.uk, which does need a bit of an update, but there's little bits of I suppose really because I get most of my work on recommendation. I'm very lucky about that. But yes, I am. Facebook is probably where I respond the most, really.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lizzy. It's lovely to see you, and thank you for entertaining us all on this Wednesday evening.
Oh, my pleasure.
Oh, thank you. So that was the fabulous Lizzy. As always, she is amazing. We absolutely love her at Maisie Darling. She is such a vintage queen. She is just brilliant. So thank you once again to Lizzy. So day 3 is over. It's going so quickly. Tomorrow we have got an exciting day for you tomorrow. We've got 2 lives. So we've got Benji Williams at lunchtime, 2 o'clock. He is going to be singing for you. And then in the evening, we've got Rebecca Cole, who is also going to be singing for you. So we've got a fabulous day tomorrow. So if you have some free time, pop along, have a listen, and enjoy the sounds of Maisies Music Fest. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.